Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Red Rivals, where we're going to speak about Liverpool 4, Bournemouth 2. This was a game that had a lot more meaning than most games would in the Premier League. And speaking about which, we have to be a bit grateful to that the Premier League have acknowledged Diogo and they're going to be doing something at least for the first match day, which is something. Also, Chelsea is making some contributions to Diogo and the family. So, we're always going to show some gratitude for that. It is not something they had to do, but they are doing it and shouldn't be something we just skip over. So I just wanted to mention that first. But on the game itself, it was a bit emotionally charged. You could kind of see it, A lot of the players looked very deep in thought, and I can't blame them. Even watching this game, it was a bit of a difficult watch. You know, I'm not going to be out here saying that it was typical fun game, although it did kind of get interesting at the end, I will say. Um, but yeah, just sort of briefly going over it. I'm not going to go through the specific moments as the goals, but I will break them down into bits. So we can speak first about the Bournemouth goals, just to get out the way. Um, I kind of found I did not enjoy Evan Nielsen picking up scraps, running out, picking up a ball which seemingly the defense thought was either going to be offside or that he wasn't going to get there. Like, why was Kirkes or Van Dijk or maybe even McAllister? Why was nobody cutting off Evan Nielsen getting to the ball? I'm not sure. It. I imagine this situation could have been easily avoided. So I did not enjoy that goal and how it happened. And similarly, you had Semenyo running the entire length of the pitch, like literally just outside of our box, cop end, all the way across, straight run. He just cuts to the left and then puts Konate, literally puts Konate down and then just puts the ball in. But he had Van Dijk and Konate surrounding him, but neither player decided to get close. So I'm not sure what that is because I can't say that that's now like Slot's tactics. That there was no defender in play, so no one could have cut him off. It just felt very lackadaisical today in the defense. Like, we used to seeing Klopp's system where we're playing open football. There's high numbers up the pitch, and yes, they were, but there were players back, and our two centre backs were there. This was not we're not defending from a corner or anything. This is just from one end of the pitch to the other, regular just movement. One player running with it. No passes, no long ball, just running with it on the ground the whole time. I feel like Konate and Van Dijk should have done better. I'm not sure if that's now like a coaching thing that they didn't listen to, and then this is the product of that. But it needs to be fixed. And I'm so glad that we brought in Leone, and I hope that Gahey or another centre back comes in because just not having that centre back allows players to act this lackadaisical way, um, the slow way, like it feels like they don't have enough pressure behind them that somebody else will come in if they're not performing. And I feel like that's what this will provide. I'm not sure if Leone will be the one to push them like that because he's very young, but we can hope. He's a very talented player, up and coming player. And, hopefully he will fill in those shoes one day, if not now. But yeah, that's kind of just the breakdown. I do feel like they were just slow and not taking initiative to get close to the ball because this could have easily been avoided. Those goals were very, yeah, it was a bit disappointing. Let's put it that way. But yeah, leave me your comments in the comment section if you have a different take on it. What do you think about Semenyo's game today? I think Semenyo did play very well. But then when it comes to our goals, it was good play on how we achieved them. I thought the interplay, but specifically with McAllister and Ekatike was very good. Now, if you notice, this might be a bit of a repeating theme because, okay, you say, oh, but Rich, it was not McAllister last. Yes, but it is players from the midfield centrally putting through balls to Ekatike or bouncing balls, short bounce passes through. So thus I think it was McAllister, Ekatike, Van Dijk, McAllister, Ekatike, and then it ricochets off the defender, and then Ekatike is very live to the ball. He was switched on. He was trying to make something happen all game, which I can't say about the other forwards. I'm not gonna spend this time to complain, but Gakpo and Salah did not have the best games. They both did score, and that's what they do. You know, they can have not the best game, and they can still arrive in a moment and put the ball in it. Which is at least something. You know, it's a redeemable quality for the game. But yeah, I digress. Ekitike was by far, for me, man of the match. Very good play. Definitely the best player on our pitch for our team, I think. McAllister was a standout player in the midfield, and I would say probably Frimpong was the standout player in the back line, to be honest, because I think there were issues for the other three players. And Frimpong, I don't think was liable for anything, but correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I'm not sitting here with the stats of how many times he lost the ball or didn't get the pass through. I'm not sure, but on the eye test, he looked good today. And then lastly, we have to speak about substitution. Onslaught and putting Chiesa on at 82 minutes. What is up with that? How long do we have to put up with this delayed substitution? You know, I thought we were getting past this phase of substituting attackers on late. You know, in the Crystal Palace game, we didn't even see Chiesa or Ungamoa. And today, we had Gakpo, who was not playing very well. We still didn't see Ungamoa. But we did see Chiesa, who came on essentially for Wirtz, who was playing false nine after Ekatike got taken off. Yeah, that Wirtz in the false nine, I do get it, but I don't like it. I think we look better with someone who's more of a forward. Even Chiesa, far better. Chiesa essentially got one opportunity, one touch, one goal. You know, from the amount of minutes that this guy's had, for him to make the opportunities that he has out of it, you can see that there's a drive. He wants to make something happen. He's not shirking the ball. He's not running away from the ball. He wants it. He wants the opportunity. He doesn't mind if it goes wrong. He will do the best he can. He will try something. And I think that's like basically the most you want out of a forward player. Like baseline, you want them to be attempting something. You want them to try something. You don't want a player who's just going to run across the line, cut back, pass, you know, back, pass back, pass back. You need to try something, unless there's going to be a lot of small passes in between the lines. And people were not making the movements today. Bordeaux's small passes largely in the last, 10, 15 minutes, it was happening. And I would assume this is largely due to necessity, not necessarily a switch in game plan. You know, probably Slot is practicing these routines. I've seen him in training. But as for why it wasn't happening earlier in the game, I couldn't tell you. Of course, we're committing more bodies forward, but yeah, regardless, Chiesa, one touch, one goal. And it's quite a fitting thing that a super sub comes on, scores very similar to Diogo. So it's a bit fitting for that. And then, of course, Salah has to come and pitch in his opening match day goal. I think it's 10 times now, which is got to be some records, right? Because obviously Salah with these records, breaking records. But yeah, that's It's always good to see, but you saw how emotional then he was after the game, so that's always a bit of a tough watch. Yeah, it is a bit of a tough one. But overall, we can't be too critical. These players are still getting used to the system, getting used to each other. But the backline's got to get sorted out. That I can't say that Van Dijk and Konate don't know each other, because they do. They've been spending a lot of time, and something just feels a bit off. Whether that's because Konate's contract situation, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Because Leone's coming in, because maybe Gehi's coming in. Does he feel threatened? I don't know what it is, but we need to sort that out. If he's not good enough, he's got to get good enough, or he's got to get taken off for someone else, because we can't just be accepting those kind of performances. 15, 20 minutes, maybe it's okay. But if it goes on, the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, Kanate didn't look good. Um, just a little bit like unassured of himself, but he did get better as it went throughout the game. Not like drastically better, but he did improve. So we will give him that. And again, this is not like to specifically bash any player. This is just observations about the game today. And yeah, overall, it was always going to be a difficult game. Bournemouth are a top side. They are not the Bournemouth of old. Under Iraola, they look very willing to commit bodies, willing to make movements. Clinical players. Look at how Semenyo was able to turn those opportunities into goals. They largely just convert whatever they get. And unfortunately, we did give them opportunities. Not necessarily out of mistakes, but just allowing space. And you just can't. You gotta cut down on the space at some point. You can't allow them to continuously progress up the pitch and not doing something about it. At least get tight. But yeah, I'm sure Anaslav will work on that. It was a tough day, the emotions involved. And we'll take it. 3 points. We'll move on. Top of the table. I gotta say it. Arsenal in second. Some things never change. Drop a like, sub. See you guys next one. Peace out.